Good morning, all, and thank you so very much for joining me for today's presentation for Life on Board Amtrak, presented by Amtrak Vacations. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jesse Avallo. I'm actually one of the business development executives over here, and I'll be your guest speaker today. And stay tuned for, of course, some exclusive discounts for all of you. And also, one lucky person will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card at the end of today's presentation. So definitely stay tuned. First and foremost, why Amtrak Vacations? So this was based on a survey that we did throughout our different clients, and this is what a lot of you all had to say. First and foremost, it's a bucket list experience. So you've already done the all-inclusives in the Caribbean, you've done the different flights, the cruises, but you have yet to experience the Amtrak train, and it's definitely something that you would like to experience. Room to roam. So on the Amtrak train, you can move all around the train. You're not confined to your seat like you would be on an airplane or a bus. You can go down to the observation car, the dining car, the lounge car. There's so many different options. You don't have to stay seated the whole time. Less hassle. You can literally show up 30 to 45 minutes before your train is scheduled to depart and still get on comfortably because you don't have to deal with those crazy long TSA lines like you would on an airline. And of course, city to city service. Best example of this, New York Penn Station. As soon as you arrive, you're right in downtown New York City. You're literally blocks away from Broadway, blocks away from Times Square. Everything is right there at your fingertips. Satisfy your hunger. It is not airplane food on the Amtrak. I cannot stress that enough. Everything is fresh, made to order. There's a chef on board any overnight Amtrak train as well. And there's so many different options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner as well. And of course, flexibility. You can start your trip from any of the 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States. And also, if any of you have any questions throughout the presentation, we're going to have a questions portion at the end. Feel free to type away, and as soon as the presentation is ending, I will get to all of those questions. So definitely type away. And here we have the Amtrak Vacation Systems map. Here you can see all the different routes that the Amtrak has to offer. And fun fact about the Amtrak, it actually travels to 46 out of the 48 continental United States. The only two states that it does not travel to would be Wyoming and South Dakota. And yes, if you look a little bit further north, the Amtrak does connect in Canada, and we also offer some great Canadian packages as well. But of course, the moment we've all been waiting for, the flash sale. This is starting right now. And let me tell all of you, the phones have been ringing off the hook. So if you have any package in mind, as soon as we finish up this presentation, call up right away. The number is right at the bottom, or you can go to the website, but definitely call in right away. So if for any of these packages, when you upgrade to a sleeper, it's just going to be, you're basically going to save an extra $100 per couple or $50 per person automatically when you upgrade to any of the sleepers. And of course, so that is a huge savings. So for any of these packages, when you upgrade to a sleeper, you're going to save $100 right off the top per couple or $50 per person. So definitely, like I said, the phones have been going off the hook. So call in as soon as you can. And then what's included when you upgrade to a sleeping accommodation? All meals on board the train are fully included. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is a huge savings. Priority boarding, so you get to board before anybody who has coach accommodations. And also, you get access to the train station private lounge when available. So in Chicago Union Station, for example, they have their own private lounge for anybody with a sleeper accommodation, and it is an extremely nice lounge. I can't stress that enough. So definitely some great benefits when you upgrade to a sleeping accommodation. And as I mentioned before, you can choose between 500 Amtrak stations to start and or end your trip, or you can fly in. It's whatever you would prefer, of course. And next we have a few fun slides. So we've all been in that terrible situation on an airplane where you're stuck in that middle seat. I actually had that happen to me this Sunday as I was coming back from vacation. Literally, there's going to be a person on one side with elbows out, taking up your seat as well, another person falling asleep on your shoulder. It is not comfortable in the least, but you will never have to do that on the Amtrak. It's only two large, comfy plush seats in coach. You never have to worry about anybody getting into your personal space there. And of course, no need for you to spend your days sitting in traffic. No matter how much planning you do to avoid traffic, if you're taking a road trip, it's completely unavoidable. You will hit traffic at some point. But on the Amtrak train, you never have to worry about that. There's no car blocking the train on the tracks. There's no train in front blocking the train on the tracks. It is smooth sailing all the way, no stop and go traffic on the train. And here we have a few of our different product types. We have the independent journeys. Now, these are going to be multi-city trips in the US and Canada as well. These are going to be 5, 7, 10, 12, even as many as 14-day packages. Next, we have family adventures. Now, family adventures are great because they're going to have something for every member of the family. So something for the grandparents, the parents, the children. Each member of the family will get to experience a fun portion for them on that trip. We have the rail and sail packages. Now, the rail and sail packages will basically include long distance rail, usually Chicago over to Seattle, but it will also include a Norwegian cruise through parts of Alaska and Canada as well. So you get to experience both, which is great as well. We have the rail getaways. Now, the rail getaways are more when you're looking to just get away for the weekend, get away from the hassles of everyday life, get away from work for the weekend. Those would be when you want to look at the rail getaways. And of course, the national parks. So we have several different packages with the national parks. And let me tell you all from firsthand experience, I actually went to Yellowstone National Park in September. It is absolutely beautiful out there. I cannot wait to literally go to Glacier National Park. I'm planning to go in 2019. So definitely the national parks are America's jewels. You definitely want to lock those in quickly because those are extremely popular and they sell out very fast. And of course, how to book some of our packages. Easiest way, honestly, would be calling us versus using the website. Calling us, we can book, we can do all the heavy lifting for you and get it done for you very quickly. So you can call us right there at that number, 1-800-268-7252. Of course, you can always go to the website as well, amtrakvacations.com, or you can also go down to your local travel agent and they can do the heavy lifting for you as well. So definitely different ways to get one of these packages locked in. And here we have a perfect example of the beautiful scenery that you would get to see on the Amtrak as well. Beautiful meadows. Next, we're going to go into some of the onboard Amtrak accommodations. First and foremost, coach accommodations. Everybody, take a look at that. Just let it soak in. Look at the leg room that you have on the Amtrak. It is not like an airline at all. Plenty of leg room, as I mentioned before. 2 large, comfy plush seats. You don't have to deal with that middle seat ever. And they recline 45 degrees. And there's also a leg rest in front, which is a little tough to see. But great accommodations for coach. Very comfortable. And of course, the staff aboard the Amtrak. When I was going from San Francisco to Salt Lake City in September, some of the friendliest staff I have ever met. They literally did everything imaginable to make me feel like I was right at home. Some of the nicest people you will ever find. And a lot of them are so knowledgeable on the train because they've been there so long. They can tell you so many little intricacies about the train. Hey, we're coming up on the Nevada desert right now, the Continental Divide. They can tell you so many little things. It is absolutely amazing. And next, we have the first level sleeper, which is literally the most popular, the Roomette. So if you take a look at this picture here, it's 2 chairs that face each other during the day. At night, those 2 chairs will be converted into 1 bed by an attendant. And it's a little tough to see in the picture here, but overhead, there's a drop down bunk bed. So this will seat 2 comfortably. And also, if you look at the diagram in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you will notice there is no restroom. It's actually going to be located right down the hall, exactly as it would be in your own home. It's going to be 4 sinks and toilets and 2 showers, and only the passengers with the roomettes in your train car have access to those facilities. Nobody over in coach can use those facilities. And here we would have another view of the roomette. Now, one thing I will suggest for all of you traveling in larger groups, let's say you're traveling with a group of 4, you definitely want to get the roomettes across from each other, as you see in this picture, versus next to each other, because what you can do is you can actually literally have easy conversations because they're very close. So when I went on my trip, literally me and my other friends, we were able to talk, have great conversation right in between, no problem at all. Also, if you take a look at this picture as well, there's a little closet over on the left-hand side right next to the woman, and you can actually put in your dress clothes or anything you might need in there as well. And then also to the right, you'll see that little blue step sticking out. That's you. There's a couple of steps there used for anybody trying to get up on the top bunk, so it's very easy to get up there as well. And next we have the bedroom. Now the difference between the bedroom and the roomette is, for any of you that want your own private bathroom, we've got you covered as well. So the bedroom is going to be a little bit bigger than the roomette, but it's going to have its own sink, shower, and toilet all in the room itself. And with either one, roomette or bedroom, as I mentioned earlier, all of your meals will be included, and you get priority boarding and access to the different lounges, private lounges in the train stations as well. And of course, with that flash sale, for anybody joining us a little bit later, the flash sale, which started today, when you upgrade to any of those sleepers, you're going to save $100 off per couple automatically on your package, or $50 off per person. So definitely, again, call in as soon as humanly possible. And here we would have another view of the bedroom. Now this is going to be a view of the top bunk, so you can see there's plenty of room up there as well. It's not a situation where it's very shallow. And here we would have another view of the bedroom as well. As you can see, it's very large in there, very comfortable. I can tell you from first-hand experience, I've slept on both the bottom bunk and the top bunk. Top bunk scared me a little bit because it was a little bit smaller, but honestly, just as comfortable. The train is very smooth. You can sleep very easily on the train. And now my personal favorite part, dining aboard the train. So the food on the Amtrak, as I mentioned before, is absolutely amazing. All fresh, made to order. There's chefs on board any overnight train. And literally for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's so many different options. We're talking breakfast. We're talking pancakes, waffles, French toast, omelets. Lunch, amazing burgers, turkey clubs, quesadillas, salads, just to name a few options. And then for dinner, my suggestion for anyone who enjoys steak, even in the slightest, get the Amtrak signature sirloin steak. It is absolutely amazing. One of the best steaks I've ever had, literally. But of course, if you're not a fan of steak, definitely there's plenty of chicken dishes, seafood options, pasta dishes, and also vegetarian dishes as well to take advantage of. And then for dessert, we're talking chocolate cakes, cheesecakes, tarts, puddings, so many different options. And if you have any food allergies at all, not to worry, just let us know when you're booking your reservation, and we can also take care of that for you as well. Now on the train, the spot where I spent most of my time was the observation car. Now the observation car is going to be basically chairs that face out, but chairs that also come in as well, with huge windows so you can enjoy all the scenery that you can only experience on the Amtrak train. If you're flying, as we all know, clouds are clouds. They look the same no matter where you are. But the Amtrak, you can see so many different types of landscapes, mountains, beautiful cities, beautiful coastlines, so many different things to see on the train. And of course, we also have the lounge car. Now, the lounge car is a great place if you want to just grab a quick bite to eat, play some cards, dominoes, just enjoy other people's company. Definitely the lounge car is where you want to go. And here we have another great picture of the observation car as well. As you can see here, as I mentioned, some of the seats face right out towards the windows. Some of them are also looking at each other, but amazing views from there. It's literally a full dome glass display pretty much. Okay, and then some of the people that you meet aboard the Amtrak as well. Some of the greatest people, some of the most enlightening people as well. When I was on my train trip, there was a gentleman who I had dinner with. Literally, he builds his own model train sets, rideable model train sets. And he showed me pictures, videos, and the detail that he had in those trains was absolutely ridiculous. Everything was down to a T, the details on the trains. And literally, I could have talked to that gentleman for hours. I wanted to ride one of those trains so badly, but he's just one of the many examples of the amazing people that you will get to meet aboard the Amtrak. Also, he would give me so many little details about, hey, we're going past the Continental Divide. Even before the conductor would actually mention it, he was so knowledgeable. And next, we're going to have a few examples of our different packages as well. This will be the Grand Rail experience that will start out of Chicago. Then you will continue on over to Seattle using the Empire Builder route. Of course, when you're in Seattle, you're also going to have a hop on, hop off sightseeing city tour of Seattle as well. And then once you finish up in Seattle, you'll then continue on using the Coast Starlight down into Los Angeles, where you'll have a few nights there as well. And you'll also have a hop on, hop off sightseeing city tour in Los Angeles as well. Once you finish off in Los Angeles, you will then continue on using the Sunset Limited train into New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, New Orleans is literally one of my favorite places to go. Great food there. I'm a huge fan of Cajun and Creole cuisine. Love the food out there. But there's so many different things to see out there. You can do the Gray Line Swamp and Bayou tour through the different swamps and bayous of New Orleans. And of course, a sightseeing city tour of New Orleans as well. Now, my suggestion on this, you can either do a bus tour of New Orleans or you can do a walking tour. My suggestion, definitely, you want to do the walking tour. Main reason being, there's a lot of old cobblestone roads in the French Quarter, and vehicles just really can't get in there. So the best way to experience all of New Orleans is without a doubt, the walking tour. Now, once you finish up in New Orleans, you'll then take a train continuing on into Washington, D.C., where in DC, you're going to experience the Monuments by Moonlight tour, which is literally everyone's favorite tour in DC. This bus tour will take you all around the different monuments at night when they're beautifully lit up and they look spectacular. But the best part is you can literally get right up to, for example, the Lincoln Memorial and get a perfect picture because at that time, there's not many tourists around. So it's a great, great time to check out all the different monuments. And this Grand Rail experience for all of those different cities that I mentioned, the hotel accommodations, the different sightseeing tours as well, starts from the low, low price of just $18.49 per person in coach accommodations. And of course, as I mentioned, with the flash sale that's going on right now, for you to upgrade to a sleeper, you're automatically going to save another $100 off per couple or $50 off per person. So definitely take advantage of that as soon as possible. Next, we have the Northern Rail experience. Now, this one will also start out of Chicago. And one other thing I do want to mention, that we can customize any of these packages. So for example, if you were coming out of Boston instead of Chicago, coming out of New York, coming out of LA, whatever you need us to customize on these packages, don't even worry about it. We can take care of that for you as well. So this one will start off in Chicago, continue on using that Empire Builder towards Seattle. And of course, as I mentioned before, hop on, hop off sightseeing city tour of Seattle so you can see all the different attractions. You can see Pike's Place Market. You can see the Space Needle as well, of course. So many different things to see in Seattle. And then here's one of the great views that you get to see aboard the Empire Builder route from Chicago over to Seattle. Just take a look at that beautiful mountain. Amazing. And then, of course, once you finish up in Seattle, you'll take that Coast Starlight train down into San Francisco, where also you will have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing city tour of San Francisco, but also you will get a sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, and you'll also get to enjoy a spectacular sightseeing cruise. Literally everybody's highlight of the trip is that sightseeing bay cruise because it is absolutely beautiful. And here we would have an example of a great view that you would get aboard the California Zephyr, which goes from San Francisco back over to Chicago to finish up the trip. And of course, you get some beautiful seafood out in both Seattle and San Francisco as well. And then, as I mentioned, this would be the Northern Rail experience. So Chicago over to Seattle, then to San Francisco, and then finally finishing up in Chicago. 9 days total, hotel accommodations fully included, starting from the low, low price in coach of $13.99. And again, for you to upgrade to the sleeper accommodations, you're automatically going to save $100 off per couple or $50 off per person with the flash sale that we have starting today. And as I mentioned, for any of you joining in a little bit later, the phones have been going off the hook. So if any of these packages interest you, give us a call because the space will start to get extremely limited very quickly. And did you know with Amtrak Vacations, as I mentioned before, you can customize any rail package to fit your vacations needs. So whatever you need us to do, if you wanted to add on a city to one of our existing packages, not a problem. If you wanted to take off a night, add in a car rental, a Broadway show in New York, whatever you need us to do, we can absolutely get that taken care of for you. Not a problem. And the Amtrak is for everyone, for anybody traveling solo, anybody traveling with the family, your partners. It is a great experience for everyone, of course. And here we would have another example of one of our packages. This would be the Glacier National Park Express. Now, for anyone looking to go to Glacier, it is literally our #1 destination, and it's only open a few times out of the year. It's only open from literally mid-June to mid-September. It's a seasonal national park, so space is extremely limited. So if you're looking at Glacier, definitely give us a call as soon as you can to lock it in, and of course, take advantage of that flash sale. So this one will start off in Chicago. We're going to spend a few nights there. This will also include a sightseeing architecture cruise of the Chicago Harbor as well. Once you finish off in Chicago, after those 2 nights, you'll continue on with the Empire Builder route into Glacier National Park. And of course, once you're in Glacier National Park, you'll be there for 3 nights. And fun fact about Glacier, the best way for you to get into Glacier, without a doubt, is the Amtrak train. When you get into Glacier at the train station, you're literally 200 steps away from the Glacier Park Lodge. It's literally right there, walking distance for you. And of course, once you're in Glacier, you're going to enjoy 2 different tours. The 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise, which you're going to see an abundance of wildlife on that tour. And then the Big Sky Circle tour, which is the most inclusive tour in all of the park. On that tour, you're going to go down, going to the Sun Road, Logan's Pass. It's a full day tour. You will literally get to see the majority of the actual park itself. And then once you finish up in Glacier, you'll continue on using the Empire Builder route again towards Seattle. Now, before we get there, take a look at another amazing view that you get to see aboard the Empire Builder. Absolutely beautiful. Let that soak in. And of course, as I mentioned, you're continuing on towards Seattle. And of course, what would a trip to Seattle be without admission into the Space Needle? So that's already included for you. And the Chihuly Garden, which is actually located at the base of the Space Needle. It's a beautiful garden glass exhibit. There's a lot of abstract exhibits, but there's also a lot of realistic exhibits as well. And of course, multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing city tour of Seattle as well. And for this package, the Glacier National Park Express package, 10 days total, Chicago, Glacier, and Seattle, starting from the low price of $22.99 per person in coach accommodations. And as I mentioned again, for you to upgrade to the sleepers, you're automatically going to save $100 off per couple, and or it's going to be $50 off per person. And as I mentioned, all your meals are included on the train when you upgrade to a sleeper, which is a huge savings. Next, we would have the jazz, blues, and rock and roll package. Now, again, this will start out of Chicago, but if you needed it to start out of a different city, for example, New York or Los Angeles as an example, or Seattle, we can customize the package for whatever you need. That is not a problem at all. So this one will start out of Chicago, and just like the last package, this will include a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing city tour in Chicago as well. Once you finish off in Chicago, you'll continue on down into Memphis. Now, Memphis When you're there, we'll include a platinum tour, which will also include a tour of Graceland as well. So you get basically a full city tour that finishes up in Graceland. So for any of you Elvis fans, we've got you covered. You get a full tour of Graceland as well as a tour of Elvis's home as well. And of course, Memphis, very well known for their great barbecue. So while you're out there, definitely take advantage of that barbecue. In my opinion, some of the best barbecue that you can get in all of the United States. But once you finish up in Memphis, you'll continue on down into New Orleans, which, as I mentioned before, literally one of my favorite cities. I love Cajun and Creole cuisine. And of course, you're going to have a battlefield cruise aboard a paddle wheel boat in New Orleans as well, going down the Mississippi River. And of course, a city tour of New Orleans as well. And as I mentioned again, for any of you joining on a little bit later, for New Orleans, you can either do a walking tour or a bus tour. Definitely you want to do the walking tour because in the French Quarter, the bus just can't get into those old cobblestone roads. So the best way to experience all of New Orleans is that walking tour without a doubt. And for this package in particular, the jazz, blues, and rock and roll package, it's 9 days total, and it's going to start from, again, a low price of just $1,299 per person. And for you to upgrade to the sleeper accommodation on the overnight portions, you're automatically with the flash sale going to save $100 off per couple or $50 off per person. And again, if any of these packages are sticking out to you, definitely you'll want to call us right away because, as I said, or go down to your local travel agent because our phones have been going off the hook this morning. And did you know Amtrak Vacations takes you from city center to city center, saving you time and expenses while enjoying comfortable seating, beautiful landscapes, full amenities, and friendly service as well. And next we would have another package. We have the Grand Canyon Getaway round trip from Chicago. Now the Grand Canyon, definitely on everybody's bucket list, definitely something I want to experience myself as well. Now this package, again, will start out of Chicago. So once you finish up in Chicago, you'll continue on over to Williams, Arizona, where you're going to have a Grand Canyon Freedom Rim tour. So this is going to be a full tour of the South Rim, and you'll also have a breakfast and a dinner included over at the Grand Canyon as well. And then, of course, once you finish off over at the Grand Canyon, you'll then continue on back over to Chicago to finish up the trip. And this package in particular, 6 days total, will start from the low price of just $1,009 per person in coach accommodations. And again, for you to upgrade to the sleeper, you're automatically with the flash sale going to save $100 off per couple or $50 off per person. And just before we finish it off, one more time, the flash sale that's currently running. This doesn't run very often, so definitely you want to take advantage of this sale. Anytime you upgrade to a sleeper accommodation for any of our packages, really, you will save $100 off per couple, $100 easy savings, or $50 off per person. You just literally need to book between now, January 24th, and Friday, February 2nd. So if you don't have a pen and a piece of paper, definitely grab one now. Again, this will go from today, January 24th, up until next Friday, February 2nd. The sale will be going on, but you don't want to wait because, as I mentioned, our phones have been going off the hook all morning. So you definitely want to call in and lock in the space as soon as you can. Or you can go down to AmtrakVacations.com, take a look at a few of our different destinations as well. If you take a look at this picture here, the Destinations tab is in the top left corner. You can see all of the different options, the different destinations that we have to offer here at Amtrak Vacations as well. And a quick reminder, how to book. Give us a call, 1-800-268-7252. Again, that's 1-800-268-7252. Or you can go to AmtrakVacations.com or you can go down to your local travel agent or give them a call and they will give us a call and we can lock it all in for you as well. But before we finish up, we also have some everyday discounts that I want to mention because these are huge. So for seniors, anybody aged 65 and over will receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of their Amtrak vacation package. Any active duty military personnel, their spouses and their dependents will save 10% on the rail portion of their Amtrak vacation package. And children, that is not a typo, that is not a misprint. So children aged 2 to 12 will receive a 50% discount. Yes, 50% discount on the rail portion of their Amtrak vacation. So that is a huge savings for anyone looking to travel with their families. Definitely take advantage of that special savings. But before we finish up, let's take a look to see what kind of questions we have. Okay. Carol, do the sleeping rooms come with built-in hair dryers? Great question, Carol. So they don't come with hair dryers in the actual rooms themselves. Can you bring your hair dryer and use them? Yes, you can. Now, the one thing is you can't use them in the rooms themselves. You can actually use them in any of the restrooms, but you wouldn't be able to use your hair dryer in those rooms. And no, unfortunately, they do not come with hair dryers already in there. And another great question from Carol, are there safes in the sleeping rooms? Fortunately, no, there are no safes in the sleeping rooms. Now, the one thing I will say is from my personal experience, and I have never, ever heard of any of this ever happening on the train. Anytime you have a sleeper, you can lock it in. You can lock it when you're in there, but when you're not in there, you can't lock it. But there is attendance going up and down the train car all day, and I have never heard of anything ever going missing on the train. Literally, when I was on it, I left my iPad, my Nintendo Switch tablet, my cell phone all out in the open with the door open. Nothing happened on my Roomette, so I have never heard of anything happening on the train. Let's see here. But great question, Carol. Okay, next question is coming from Jim. How difficult is it to travel with a disabled person in a wheelchair? Not very tough at all, honestly, aboard the Amtrak, Jim. So we have a lot of sleeping accommodations on the train as well for that are handicap accessible. So anybody with a wheelchair or a walker, anybody who has trouble getting around. Now, those are very few on the train. There's only about 3 or 4 per train. So again, you definitely want to give us a call for those as well as soon as you possibly can to lock those in, but not a problem at all aboard the train. And here we have another great question from Arnold. So Arnold asks, if you have a sleeper room, do you still need a reserved seat in the observation car, or is it first come, first serve? So on the observation car, it is absolutely first come, first serve. So my suggestion to anybody who's looking to get in there as soon as they can, as soon as you board the train, literally leave your luggage in your sleeper, whether you have a bedroom or a roomette, and go right to the observation car because it loads up extremely fast. So you definitely want to get there as soon as you can. But great question, Arnold. And the next question would be from Lisa. Do most major city Amtrak stations offer rental car selections right in the station? Lisa, yes, a lot of the different Amtrak stations do offer car rentals right in the station themselves. When you give us a call, definitely let us know that you're looking for a car rental. We'll double check depending on where you're looking to go. But yes, the majority of them do have rental stations right in the Amtrak stations as well. Great question, Lisa. Oh, here we have a great question from David. How much luggage can be brought on board? Great question, David. So this is another huge benefit to the Amtrak. So it's 2 carry-on and 2 checked per person automatically. No extra charges for that. 2 carry-on and 2 checked per person, which is another huge benefit to the Amtrak. As we all know, on a lot of the airlines, even for 1 checked bag, they're automatically charging you nowadays. So that's a huge savings on the Amtrak as well. And here we have a question from Nora Jill. Are there plenty of plugins for electronics? So in the sleepers, you automatically have your own outlet right behind you. There's about 2, if not 3 per sleeper. So automatically, yes, there's plenty of outlets if you have your own sleeper. Not a problem. Great question, Nora Jill. And here we have another great question from Judy. How many observation cars are there? Do you do those in bedroom or roomettes have their own observation cars? Now, there is only 1 observation car per train. It is very large. Like I said, it's definitely first come, first serve in there. So you wouldn't have your own observation car for like anyone in a bedroom or a roomette, but there is only 1 observation car. But great question, Judy. And next we have Peter. Is it possible to see a roomette or sleeping car in person before booking it? Peter, great question. If you go to the Amtrak website, amtrak.com, they actually have extremely realistic virtual tours of roomettes, bedrooms, observation cars, the dining car, literally the whole train. And that will give you a perfect idea of exactly what it looks like. It's a full 360 3D view of the actual cars as well. Next, we have Daryl. Great question. Are there limited sleeping bedrooms per train? Yes, there are very limited sleepers aboard the train. So definitely, if any of those packages again interest you, you definitely want to call us as soon as you possibly can because yes, they are limited aboard the train. And next we have Joanne. So Chicago to New Orleans boards at 8:05 p.m. We have a sleeper. Can we still get anything to eat? Yes. Anybody who boards the train, I believe you have to board before 8:30 p.m. You will still get your dinner on that train as well. So great question. And here we have a great question from Douglas. What do you have from DC? So as I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, literally any of the packages you see, we can customize so we can have them coming out of Washington, DC. Not a problem. So any of our packages really, Douglas, but great question. And here we have another great question from Gertrude. Is there Wi-Fi on the train? So there is Wi-Fi aboard a lot of the different trains. Not every train will have Wi-Fi. It all depends on what train route you're looking to go. When you give us a call, definitely we can check to make sure that the specific train you're going to be on does have Wi-Fi available. But great question, Gertrude. And yes, one other thing I do want to mention: the Wi-Fi is free as well aboard the Amtrak train. And here we have a great question from Judy. Are there any single sleeper accommodations? So on the train, unfortunately, they're all based on having two people in the sleepers. Does that mean you couldn't have your own sleeper for yourself? No, you can absolutely have your own sleeper for yourself, Judy. That's not a problem as well. But great question, Judy. And here we have Daryl with a great question. Can you receive meals in your room? Absolutely. If you do not want to go to the dining car, your attendant for your sleeper can absolutely bring the meal directly to your room. Not a problem. Great question. And here we have Delaney. Can you get late night snacks from the lounge? Yes, you can. When I was on the train myself, I got quite a few late night snacks. So yes, you can go right down to the lounge car and get any late night snacks that you would like. Oh, great question from Larry. When you say hop on, hop off, do you mean you get off the train and it continues, and then a few days later get on another Amtrak train to continue your trip? No, Larry. What I mean when I say hop on, hop off tour is when you've already arrived in that city, you can literally take a bus tour that takes you all around the city to the different attractions for that city. And you can, if you see an attraction that you would like, you can step right off the bus, check out that attraction, and then get back on the next bus because they come by every 10 to 15 minutes. Think of it as your transportation around the different city. That way you don't have to take public transportation or grab an Uber or a cab. But great question, Larry. And here we have a great question from Manny. When you make a reservation, do they require a full deposit or does it require full payment or deposit? And can you make payments? Yes, Manny. When you book any of our packages, as long as it's more than 60 days in advance, it's only going to be a deposit, and then the final payment is usually due 60 days beforehand. But for the flash sale, the final payment will be due, I believe it's March 12th, the final payment will be due. But great question, Manny. Shalandra, great question. Is it possible to purchase city tours through Amtrak without traveling on the actual train? So if you wanted to do, for example, hotels and tours in that city in New Orleans, yes, you can absolutely do that. You do not need to book with the train with us. You can absolutely book vacation packages, so hotels and tours, not a problem. But great question, Shalandra. And next we have Don. When in coach, do you have a reserved seat? Yes, Don, you absolutely have a reserve seat. It is not assigned, so you can sit anywhere you would like, but you absolutely are guaranteed a seat on the Amtrak. Great question, Don. Here we have Kevin. Does Amtrak Vacations have the ability to book air, or is that on the or is that something I would do on my own? And do you have the ability to book rental cars? Kevin, so unfortunately we can't book any air, but if you need a rental car, we can absolutely get that taken care of for you. Not a problem. Great question, Kevin. And one other thing I do want to mention, so that special flash sale discount is only on brand new packages booked starting today through February 2nd. It does not work on pre-existing reservations. Arnold, great question. How are the meals scheduled on the train? So another huge benefit to having the sleepers aboard the train is you get priority boarding, but you also get priority access to the dining car. So the attendants will go all around the train asking anybody with a bedroom or a roomette, what time would you like to have your breakfast, lunch, dinner before they go out to anyone in coach. So you get priority there as well, priority dining times. But great question, Arnold. Ooh, here we have a great question from Catherine. Can I bring my own wine on board? Yeah, if you have your own sleeper, that's another huge benefit. So if you have your own sleeper, bedroom, or roomette, you can absolutely enjoy wine, any alcoholic beverages in the privacy of your own room. Not a problem at all. But great question, Catherine. Don with another great question. Does the train stop for smoke breaks? Yes, absolutely. There's going to be smoke breaks throughout the train ride itself. The conductor will let you know when you're coming up on a smoke break. But yes, there's plenty of smoke breaks throughout the train trip. Great question from Daisy. How far in advance can you book a trip? Well, you can book a trip itself as early as literally 18 months in advance. But for example, for the train portion, those trains only come out 11 months in advance. So you can book the package itself 18 months, but the train we can add on later. It would be 11 months in advance. But great question. Cindy with a great question. Are pets allowed on board a train? Unfortunately, because I'm a huge dog person, trains no pets are allowed aboard the train, unfortunately. But great question, Cindy. All right, but it looks like those are all the questions. But if you do have any other questions that you think of between now and later, definitely give us a call and we can definitely get all of those locked in for you as well. Any questions? Ooh, charge. Oh, we have a few more coming in. Do you have group specials? Unfortunately, we don't have any group specials, Kathy. Sorry about that. Charging points. Lori, great question. As I mentioned, if you have any of your sleepers, if you have a bedroom or a roomette, there are charging ports. There are outlets right in the room for you. Are there any medical people on board, Pat? Great question. Absolutely. If anything were to go wrong, there's definitely medical personnel aboard as well. And Marlena, how about people with disabilities, canes, walkers, etc.? Yes. So again, anybody with any kind of mobility issues, not a problem on the Amtrak train. There's definitely plenty of handicap accessible rooms, and getting around the train is very easy. We can also get an attendant to help you out around the train as well. And Lori, what about in coach seats for charging? Coach is a little bit tougher. There's not going to be outlets all throughout coach. What I suggest is if you're riding in coach, you want to go down to the observation car or the lounge car because there's plenty of outlets in both of those as well. And shower facilities for coach. Now, unfortunately, there won't be any shower facilities in coach. You do have sinks and toilets, but no shower facilities. Is there a set price for all trips for sleeper upgrades and then $100 off? No, Peggy, it's not a set price. It all depends on the trip that you're looking to take. The prices will vary, of course, and then you will save $100 off the top when you upgrade to a sleeper. Teresa, do you offer travel insurance? Yes, absolutely, Teresa. We do offer travel insurance. Alrighty. But yeah, for any other questions, definitely give us a call and we can definitely answer any of the questions that you may have. But yeah, as I mentioned before, the flash sale, definitely call in as soon as you can because the phones are ringing off the hook. But other than that, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for today's presentation. I know everybody's time is valuable. Thank you so much for joining me and have a great rest of your day. Bye now.